Hello folks and welcome back to Shogun Total War. I'm Kana Stip and today I'm going to be returning to a series that I did start years ago, and I've been looking forward to returning to this series this entire time. This is of course the army composition series for Shogun Total War, and I really do love making army compositions for these games. It's my favorite part of any Total War game is making army compositions, so I have been looking forward to this for a very long time. Now, I did already make a Shimazu army composition video. I did just rewatch it just to kind of remind myself of what I presented in that video, and it turns out that the army composition that I used in that video is the army composition that I still do use myself and that I do recommend. So if you've already watched it and you already get the gist of what I'm going to say here, that's fine. I'm going to be presenting some new information in this video in sort of a different way, so there is some new stuff here, but you don't have to rewatch this to get the army comp itself. That's already there in that first video. So for this one, I want to kind of talk about how these armies get built up. Now, of course, as I'm sure you know, with Shogun Total War, it's the same roster that's available for every single faction. You don't have to design different army comps for each faction. I do it because it's more fun this way. I like to flavor my army compositions to make each playthrough with each faction unique, and I like to challenge myself to use different types of units. Units that may seem off-meta can present opportunities to play the game in a certain way if you learn how to use them. And they aren't always easy to do, but I think it can be rewarding to find these new ways to play this game. So to get started, I want to talk about the general. I like to have my general be in a unit of cavalry archers. Now, your general in Shogun Total War is typically going to be your faction's heirs. So you might be wondering, how do you make your faction heir to become a certain type of unit? Unlike in future Total War games, where the generals always are in a certain type of bodyguard unit that's typically melee focused, in this game, the heir's bodyguard or the heir's unit is just going to be in what may appear to be a random unit upon his coming of age. Now, it's not random. You can determine what units your heir shows up in. It's always going to be in the lefternmost training facility where you are training a unit on the year and the spring. It's always the spring of the year that he comes of age. And it's that season, that specific turn, it's the lefternmost training facility. Whatever unit you're training in that facility is going to be the unit that your heir ends up in. So it's not easy. I'm not going to try to say that it's easy, but if you are paying it close enough attention, you can make sure that your heirs show up in a unit of your choosing. This can help so that you don't end up with an heir in a unit of Ashigaru or gun units or something like that. That would just be really unfortunate. I like to have my heirs in a unit of cav archers. Now, there are other general types in this game. There are historical generals who do show up. This is different for each faction, which is very cool. Each faction has its own historical generals, and for that, you don't get to choose. You don't know when they're going to show up, and therefore, for them, they will just end up in a unit that could be bad and it could be good. So that's a little bit unfortunate. And of course, the daimyo himself is always going to be in his own special bodyguard unit. But for the heirs, I like using the heirs because I can choose to have them in a unit of cav archers. I like cav archers because it's the second fastest unit. The only unit that is faster than cav archers is the RE cav themselves, which is an option as well. I just like the cav archers because they can contribute to the fight while also staying out of the actual dangerous melee, on the field. They can shoot their bows and they can sort of, they're helping, right? Well, also, they're fast enough so that they can move around to the hottest points on the battlefield to provide their command bonuses to a certain engagement to try to tilt the balances in your favor. And when the enemy does break down at the end of the battle, they can contribute to the chase, to chasing down routing enemy units, which is always very helpful. Now, I'm going to show you first off a template that I do use for designing all of my army compositions. Now, this is a template in name only. It gets broken pretty much every single time, but it's a way that I like to frame my design philosophy for these army compositions. So these days, what I like to do is have 2 units of Yari Cav in pretty much every single army. I started off playing this game just by having 1 unit of Yari Cav, and 1 unit of this is not enough. You're gonna lose 1. If you're like me, you're gonna lose 1, or in many cases, and you're gonna be like, oh, I wish I had another one. So I have 2. They're useful for scouting out the battlefield. The enemy does hide in this game, unlike other Total War games. It does hide, and sometimes the first part of the battle is, where is the enemy? That's what these guys are for. Obviously, they can present other roles as well. They chase down routers. They're the fastest unit in the game, so they can chase down Cav archers. And they have a spear, a Yari, right? So they do have a bonus versus Cav. They do trade upwards against Cav units that are better than them. So while they will lose to a heavy Cav unit, they will trade upwards from a cost effective standpoint. And they might beat Naginata Cav outright. I've seen it happen before, but in campaign it can be tough to determine with all the bonuses involved in command bonuses and whatnot. It's hard to know what I witnessed, but I have seen it happen where I was like, holy shit, I didn't know that could happen. These guys, 2 of them in pretty much every single army composition that I can think of off the top of my head. Then after that, 4 spear units. 4, not 3. Now, spear units can come in a couple flavors. They can be Yari Samurai. They can, of course, also be Yari Ashigaru. These days, I use a lot of Yari Ashigaru. I'm a big fan of them. They are cheaper than Yari Samurai, and they allow you to do different things with your money. They can hold okay. You gotta just, if you're new to the game, go ahead and use your Yari Samurai. Spend the extra money on having a unit that you know is going to hold the line for you. But if you're a bit more experienced and you're more comfortable having your spears, hold the line for you, go ahead and use a Yari Ashigaru, especially in the early game. They're just really cost effective, and they can hold the line. You just have to kind of learn how to use them. Now, after that, I do like to have 4 units of Samurai Archers. This is a unit that can, of course, apply the morale debuff of getting shot by an archer or ranged unit. I think it's a -2 morale for any unit getting shot by archers, so that does help. And there's a lot of stuff in this game that does have light armor. Stuff that can take pretty decent damage from a couple of archer units that are concentrating their fire on those units, such as the lightly armored Nodachi Samurai or the Warrior Monk. These are 2 very high damage units that you do want to shoot because they have low armor, so they can really do a lot of damage against them. Cav archers as well. The AI does like to use its Cav archers. So having your foot-based archers, you can outduel Cav archers because it's a bigger target, and it's a way to kind of keep them honest. If you already lost both of your Yari Cav units, then just having your archers shoot off their Cav archers is a solution as well. As archers, Samurai archers can also fight. They're kind of decent at fighting, which is kind of a weird thing for a lot of Total War players. Archers aren't typically known for that, but these are samurai. So they will pull out their katana and fight in a melee if they have to. Their morale is decent. Obviously, it's not a first choice. You don't want them to be doing it, but if they can hold a line for some time against certain types of fights, especially if you have like a high ground. High ground really matters. Charging uphill sucks. It really slows down units, and it does diminish their combat effectiveness. It really, really does. So even really bad fights like Warrior Monks and Nodachi Samurai Cavalry, I'm not saying you want it, but if it happens, they can hang on, and the Samurai Archers can fight for a bit before you can have some help come on in. Just keep them in hold formation so they don't seek out engagements, and they just kind of fight based on the enemy's their charge angle, essentially. And then, so that's like the basic template, right? This is what I base all of my army comps off of. That gives me 5 slots to play around with. So I typically like to use 2 flavor units for each army faction's army composition. So for the I just gave it away. For the Shimazu, it's going to be the Nodachi Samurai, and it's going to be guns. Arquebusiers are going to be the tier 1 gun unit, and then the muskets are going to be the tier 2 gun unit. Muskets are fan-freaking-tastic. Now, as you can see, I only have 1 space left. So right away here in the very first army composition video, I'm going to be breaking my comp right away. Instead of 4 archers, I'm doing 3 archers, and then I'm getting 2 guns. You can see the reasoning behind it. Don't need 4 archers if I'm bringing 2 guns. 5 ranged units are going to be plenty enough. And the Musketeers are absolutely fantastic. They're my favorite unit in the game. I love using them. And for the Shimazu, it makes sense because the Portuguese do arrive in Kyushu before they go anywhere else. So you can get a head start to getting gun units before anyone else does. And that's super awesome. Arquebusiers, less so. Arquebusiers are going to be shorter ranged, less accurate, I think. They're really going to struggle to fire in rain, even light rain. Whereas Musketeers, I'm pretty sure they do fire even in light rain. And I think they're like better at firing in light rain than archers are. I'm pretty sure I've seen them do a lot of damage in light rain. I don't know if it might be not affected at all, but maybe not, maybe so. Anyway, fantastic. Now this is, of course, the nice thing about playing in Shogun is that most units are available from tier 2. This, I think, is mostly tier 2. The muskets, I think, are, oh gosh, I can't quite remember what tier exactly they are, but you can really put together, you know, even if you don't have access to them, you know, fine, that's fine too, until you get your access to Musketeers. And then even before the Portuguese show up, now they do show up pretty early in the game, but you might be wondering, okay, so what? What if I don't have access to Nodachi Samurai? You need a special event to get those, so in your Shimazu campaigns, you should be focusing on how to get that event triggered. It's something I can talk about maybe if I make a Shimazu guide at some point. So what happens like if you don't have access to guns or Nodachi Samurai? Well, the build becomes a lot more boring, but just to kind of give you an idea of what this looks like, it would be, for me, I mean, it'd be like it'd be 6 spears, maybe some Ashigaru, maybe some Yari Samurai for a sturdy middle, and then just 6 archers, maybe 4 archers, something like that. Like it doesn't, if you're stuck here at this level, don't overthink this too much. Just make sure you get to the point where you can get Nodachi Samurai and eventually your guns as well. And I make sure that I always tech up to Yari Samurai first and foremost. That's my first thing that I tech up to because of how useful they are. Not being able to run down fleeing enemy units after a victory, just the victory is not decisive. The enemy got away. It's a bad feeling. It's a bad feeling. So make sure you tech up to the Yari Samurai first. And then from there, it's really not too difficult to tech up to Nodachi Samurai. So even with an army like this, you can kind of go, you know, boom, and just kind of do something like that until you wait for your guns to show up. And then I'm going to be taking this into the battlefield and showing you how my army comp that I just showed you earlier, and I'm going to show you how that works on the battlefield. Here we are on the battlefield, and this is a general idea of what this is going to look like here. So as you can see, the center is very soft. Muskets in the front, and in this game, this is really cool where the musket units and the gun units in general, they can fire by rank if they're going to be in 3 ranks or more, which is super cool. I just love that that is in this game. And they're going to be backed up by their archers. Archers, as I said before, they can kind of hold the line, but as you can see, this is a weak and tempting option for the enemy to charge on into. They will be taking firepower for sure, but if they could get into it, the enemy could do some damage. So it's going to be my job to support the center with my flanks. My flanks are going to be spears backed up by my Nodachi Samurai. Now, I like to have the second unit of Nodachi Samurai already in wedge formation. It does give additional attack while also giving, well, minus defense. So yeah, very, very squishy when they're in this formation. It also makes them more maneuverable so that they can kind of get through the gaps here and kind of get in and support. A lot of times I like to have my flanking units kind of up like here so that we can present a center that's kind of back here a little bit, and then on the flanks, so the enemy can either charge into my weakened center, and then they're going to be opening their own flanks up to charge here from my Nodachi Samurai and from the side. This Nodachi Samurai can obviously support any engagements from the front. My Yari Samurai, as I said before, they can kind of hold their ground against cav units. They have that bonus versus cav, that's fine, but they are weak to units like warrior monks and other Nodachi Samurai. An option, and this is something that I haven't really done before, but an option that I could do is open up their ranks, put them in loose formation, and then I'd have a better way to charge on through the combat with my Nodachi Samurai if I see a bad engagement about to happen, like warrior monks coming on in. but I definitely do want them in close formation if they're going to be fighting against cavalry. Also, having them in hold formation allows them to fight in 2 ranks. You can see if you zoom on in, they will be fighting in 2 ranks when they're in hold formation, which is pretty sweet. But the Nodachi Samurai are going to be on engage at will, and pretty much everyone's going to be on hold formation except for my Nodachi Samurai and my Yari Cav. Now, when you get a flanking engagement, even with like a Yari Samurai, go ahead and switch them onto engage at will so they get as many kills as possible. And then the Yari Cav are going to be the key units to kind of support the center here, because what can happen is that if the center is being charged by enemy infantry that's really good at killing stuff, again, like warrior monks and Nodachi Samurai or whatnot, they oftentimes can just blast them away because, guns and archers are going to be very powerful. However, the center is going to be very weak to a cavalry charge. This is where the Yari Cav come on in. They can, if the timing's right, which, we'll see how I do here, but if the center is threatened, the Yari Cav can intercept a charge and kind of pin the enemy in place, guess what? Right in front of the freaking guns and the archers. And another option for that is maybe putting my own Yari Cav in wedge formation, again, to kind of actually pin the enemy while keeping a large bulk of the formation out of the combat, which might give a clear line of fire for my guns and archers. It's something that I've just been brainstorming, actually. I haven't played this game in a very long time, so we will see how I do, but that's just an idea here. Some of you might be wondering how I use these group formations. For instance, for my center here, to have them lined up with my guns in the front and the archers in the back. Well, first off, using the formations, by grouping, units, control left click to select units, press G to group them, and then using the number keys to experiment with different types of group formations. 1 through 9 are going to be different types of formations. For this formation specifically, I just used the 3 key, I believe, which is the castle formation. To achieve this, I had to use the number 2, which is technically, I think it's like infantry in front, but you can get spears in front of Nodachi Samurai, which is useful because it kind of screens the Nodachi Samurai from stuff that it would be weak from, like maybe a heavy cavalry charge or gunfire or something like that. Having the Yari Samurai just screen up ahead, kind of keeping the Nodachi safe to support the center is a nice formation to have. And then down here, this is just very simple line formation with my general in the middle is 2 bodyguard Yari Cav units, which does feel right as well. So I just, this is group 1 right here. So I just have to press Control 1 to select it and then click and drag and it will stay in this formation. I want to keep my guns, as I said before, in at least 3 ranks so that they do get that fire by rank, that rotating fire, which is so cool. I'm looking forward to showing it to you. And I'm going to start to maybe get my flanks up on ahead a little bit and maybe think about angling them a little bit. We'll see. I see some warrior monks right across from me on this side, so that's a little bit scary. As I look across and I see that they just have Naginata on this side, and Naginata are very low attack. They're very tanky units, but they're very low attack units. So I'm thinking about actually pushing on into their right side, my left, and then kind of doing a little bit of a refused flank on this side, and just making it so that those warrior monks would have further to travel before they get to me. Now the enemy is bringing forward a couple units of archers because they always like to present a little bit of a skirmish before things get started, and my army is just going to vastly out-skirmish theirs with my guns and of course my archers as well. So let's bring these guys up. Let's get them running so that they can get into position faster. And then maybe keep a little bit of a gap on this side. Just kind of present back like this. And then get my Yari Cav unit to present like this. And he can actually kind of go in his own group now. And so now we're just going to decimate their center. And then on this side, maybe get a little bit of an angle here. Make sure we start running. And then Yari Cav present in the center as well. Are they pushing my center at all? Not really. They think that they want to get their Naginata into my Yari Samurai. Well, let's just kind of charge up with my Nodachi Samurai here because they can win that fight, I think. And then here's kind of what I'm talking about. They want to like come forward with their Naginata. Let's see if I can intercept them with my Yari Cav. My guns are on skirmish mode, but now these guns can continue to fire, and we can intercept there. And let's see here. So they're running away. Perfect. Let's just get my Yari Cav back. And then you can kind of present here. And they got more Naginata coming on in. So let's just send these guys in. And we can support there. And yeah, they want to bring up there. Let's get these guns back up here, please. And thank you. And yeah, now they want to bring in these warrior monks. Sure. And are they pushing my center? Let's see here. Might want to bring out this unit out here, and let's support here. And then they're kind of pushing this side kind of well. Actually, no, looks like we did break them. Fine, that looks good. And now warrior monks are coming on in. Ooh, pretty scary. Let's see if I can I intercept them, or is it too late? I'll try to get my Yari Cav. Nope, they are being already blasted away. That's fine. Now we can get a rear charge in here, or a flanking charge in. See if we can break those warrior monks on that side. And are they pushing my center? Not real. Got some Yari Cav coming up, so we can get ready to maybe stop them with my own Yari Cav here. And again, how is the center looking? Let's get these Nodachi Samurai back, and you guys can go here. And we don't need to go too crazy on this. Let's get my Yari Cav back, because I don't push back their own Yari Cav, so mission accomplished. That's looking okay. Then we cleaned up their warrior monks on this side as well. So that's looking okay. Let's see, so that's their general, I think. I think that my Yari Cav, I tried to get him back, but he's kind of getting stuck here. If I can get him back, great. Might need to kind of force that a little bit. And do I have a unit of Nodachi Samurai that got stuck there as well? No, they're right there, so that's fine. Let's just get you here. If you guys could get back, that would be fantastic. And there we go. Enemy general has been shot down. And now that they've been shot down, I would imagine this army is going to be breaking. Yeah, we can kind of send the Yari Cav in here and here to get a good chase on, and then my own general unit can get a chase as well. And let's keep an eye out, because in this game, there isn't like a general break where you know that the battle's over. You do have to really keep an eye on things, because if you have Cav, like this, see, like that warrior monk's not done yet, right? So you have to get out of that, otherwise you can just lose an entire unit of Yari Cav that way. Same with my general, same thing. Like I have to get this guy back and maybe shoot these warrior monks, because otherwise, bye-bye general. So yeah, like we still have a little bit of military resistance from the enemies on this side. Just get my general back, keep him safe, and we can just push forward with my main army, since it looks like the enemy's not quite done yet. Just watch these muskets. I love their rotating fire. It looks so cool. Check that out. This is the first Total War game. Like, that's awesome. When I saw that, I lost my mind. That was so cool. And they're so devastating. They do so much damage. So they're pretty much being wrapped up here. Let's just see if we can finish that off. And there we go. And I just wanted to check out the kills here. So as you can see, the general doesn't do much. I mean, he didn't get involved into the chase just because it's a bit too dangerous for him. But yeah, with his bow, not a lot of damage being done. Yari Cav, they did their jobs. They just kind of, you know, stopped the enemy in their charges and kind of defended the center, which is exactly my intended purpose for them. So 26 kills for that unit of Yari Cav, and then another unit of Yari Cav down here. 0 kills, so they didn't really get involved at all, did they? And then let's see here, Yari Samurai, yeah, really didn't do much, right? But they held the line, you know. And against a enemy army that has more cavalry, you're going to see a lot more use out of the Yari Samurai. That's why I don't like to outright replace Yari Samurai with the Naginata. Naginata are a tankier, sturdier, heavy infantry unit, sure, but their attack stats are very, 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 very poor. And they don't have a bonus versus cavalry like the Yari units do. So I always like to have Yari units, just because they're so good at killing cavalry, while also having the flexibility to also play that heavy infantry role of holding on the front line. I really do enjoy using them. And then, of course, the ranged units really did carry the day. Samurai archers, 39 kills, 28 and 30. Nodachi Samurai, 39 kills, 5, 27 and 12. And then the musketeers, look at this, 108 and then 89 is just, that's 2 units. I have an army composition for another faction that uses 4 units of musketeers, and it is glorious. But I think that the Shimazu Army Comp is one of my favorite compositions. It is just so much fun. And I'm looking forward to showing you guys the rest of my Army Comp video ideas, really. This is just something I like to toy around with. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. And that's going to be it for this one. Before I go, I just wanted to say that if you're enjoying these videos and you would like to support the channel, then consider subscribing, liking, and sharing. It all helps immensely. So until next time, this has been Conestep playing Shogun Total War. Thank you very much, and goodbye.